Hey everybody, this is Duncan Keller, and for this post I'm going to briefly talk about some of the art style choices for my first major project in Xbox game, Starlight. So, when trying to come up with a style, it can be a bit tricky. The style of a game can be anything from hyper-realistic, cartoony, abstract, or anything in between. One important thing to keep in mind at all times, though, is that the style needs to accurately convey the mood and ideas of the game at all times. So I had the idea pretty quickly to use some very rough sketches for all of the objects in the game. Not being able to produce realistic graphics myself, this seemed like a pretty easy choice. Here's what I was originally going to use. As you can see, it's really sketchy, almost like it was drawn by a small kid. In the actual prototype, the drawings vibrated and squirmed as if they were being drawn over and over again. This was a cool idea, I thought, but not entirely fleshed out. You can see in the picture that although it appears sketched, it's still obviously pixel art. Now, I love pixel art, but I didn't think it fit very well in the game, so what I did is actually draw it by hand as shown right here. This looked a lot more like a quick drawing, because it was one. Here's a couple of examples of sprite sheets I created in real life and scanned into the computer. For those of you who don't know, a sprite sheet is the arrangement of pictures into one sheet to be referenced by the code, in this case Visual C#, to create animations. So the idea of rough sketches is really only half of the project. I liked the wobbly drawings, but I'm not the only person to ever do it, honestly, and it didn't include a background. Originally I was going to make the background a sheet of notebook paper, but I had a new idea and changed it very quickly before I even started the prototype. My idea was to use photographs for the background images. I did this for a couple of reasons. Firstly, I thought that the contrast between the photorealistic backgrounds and the scribbled objects created an interesting contrast that fulfilled what I was looking for in an art style, and also serviced the gameplay, which I'll get into in a later post. I also just like photography, so it created a fun opportunity to go to various locations in Ann Arbor, where I live, and capture many different themes. Before I go, I'll quickly talk about some of the other areas of the graphic style. Trying to stay in theme is always very important in a game's style for a lot of reasons, including just immersion and fluidity. This was important when creating a logo and menu. When designing the logo, I had many ideas that I sketched out on paper, but none of them really felt like they belonged in the game. It was the idea of my friend Nadim Persico-Shamas to create a new logo. This logo kept the art style of being sketched, which I hadn't even thought of, and was made up of many different objects. The light source coming from the star keeps the impression that it's realish, while still being roughly sketched. So here's the background for the main menu. I don't have a ton to say about it, aside from that it was a lot of fun to draw. It's kind of blend between the two styles in Starlight, and I'm pretty fond of it. So that's about it. I hope everybody enjoyed it, and I'll go on about something entirely different next time. See you then.